welcome to Week 13's installment of the Choo League Live. I'm your host and general manager, Martine. Let's get right into it, shall we? By God's good grace, we've been blessed this week, folks. We've got an all-time story to tell, and just like Tom Brady said after that comeback win last night, just like we drew it up, You can't make this shit up, so strap in. Going into this week, all eyes were on Team Tits and Puff Puff Pass as they looked to lock up their playoff ticket with a win. 4 other hopefuls were praying they can stay alive by stringing together 3 wins in a row while getting help each week to backdoor themselves into the playoffs. Why would they be interested in backdooring into the playoffs when they're clearly backing into the Butthole Surfers? Your guess is as good as mine because I know I want to stay away from that pain. With his hang 10th win on the season and this week's highest point scorer again, Butthole Surfers absolutely shreds to victory, scoring an almost yearly high 207.6 points this week. TBS was led by none other than Jalen Hurts again as he poured in 39 points through the air this week. Additionally performing strong, all 3 wide receivers had monster games for Butthole Surfers, totaling over 92 points combined. Had TBS only started those 4 players this week, he'd have beaten 6 other managers. If you include his Browns defense, who scored 30, he bested 9 out of 10 managers this week with that score and only half his team. And it's really clear now, folks, there's a stench in here. I think the tune has gone bad. Time to get Hoagie B in the composter. He started an injured running back. His tight end gained 0 points in one of the best offenses in the league. And both of his quarterbacks went down with major injuries. The only good note for him is Devontae Adams, who is still that man, leading this week scoring league-wide just shy of 40 points. And now we turn our attention to our second place manager, the champ, as he looked to eliminate the RoxBros this week. In what appeared to be a very strong outing from the RoxBros, ended in another epic disaster. Or a beautiful Brady bounce-back victory, depending on which side you're on. Tom Brady looked terrible last night, but he hung in there, and he does as he always does. He showed up when it mattered most, throwing 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes and 3 seconds of that Monday night thriller for the champ, giving Brady 12 points in crunch time as the champ holds on and wins by just 11. The RoxBros has officially been eliminated from the playoffs, and on his birthday no less. Happy birthday, Tim. And in other news around the league, we saw Team Tits bust his way into the playoffs with a win over CC Clitz this week, officially eliminating CC Clitz. CC, who's nicknamed the Geyser, called in earlier today and gave us a quote. He said, "Greatest fantasy team to not make the playoffs. I couldn't have had a worse schedule." And there's no accountability there, folks. He's blaming everyone else. Classic CC. Team Tits was led by Sir Patrick Mahomes again. And finally, the return of Jamar Chase. Team Tits is getting healthy at the right time. He may be putting this league on notice. Now to turn to Puff Puff Pass as he faced off against our 9th place manager this week in Smooth B's Buhls. Ladies and gentlemen, in a record-breaking performance, the Budfather no longer holds the most exclusive and sought-after record of the Choo League. Puff Puff passed him over for the lowest scoring record this year, only scoring 65 points to lose in epic fashion and keep some hopes alive. I'm not just excited, I'm hard. Puff Puff passed out, got some bad karma this week as he picked up and started Deshaun Watson and almost lost by 100. Triple P's best player this week was his kicker, who scored 11. Congrats to Smooth B's Buhls for picking up his 4th win on the year, but it's a little too late to make a real difference. Smooth's best Buhls this week were DJ Metcalf and Tony Pollard. And finally, we arrive at our last matchup of the week. Our 6th and 7th place teams, the Budfather, facing off against Matthew and his team. One of these two teams will stay alive for another week, while one will be eliminated since PPP failed to get his win. With only one real standout performer in this matchup, AJ Brown, who scored 33, almost all others had subpar or just decent games. And without further ado, in this year's baddest beat, the winner of this week's closest contest and the manager that stays alive another week is none other than no one. They tied 130.76 points exactly each. Both the Budfather and Matthew and his team are now effectively eliminated from the playoffs. They both refuse to win. The unthinkable happened. They actually tied. I've never seen a tie in the Choo League, or any league I've ever played in for that matter. Woo! As we look forward into next week's matchups and our future, our final 4 teams are identified. They'll have 2 final weeks to battle it out to solidify their rankings as we head into the Choo League Live playoffs, with a potential Super Bowl matchup taking place this weekend. In our most anticipated game and rematch of the year, the champ takes on Butthole Surfers as our top 2 fantasy managers face off once more. Back in week 5, we saw Butthole Surfers have his lowest scoring week on the year while the champ stole that first matchup. Tune in next week to see if Butthole surfs himself again, or if he keeps packing it in like Marshawn Lynch does at the goal line. That's it for your Week 13 recap of the Choo League Live. Best of luck on all your parlays and games next week, fellas. Yours truly, your general manager, Martine.